Hello lovely sewing friends, I hope you guys are doing well. This video is going to be a little bit different. So the video I did last week was all about, was it all about sewing threads? I think so. If not, oh well, it'll be there somewhere in videos. Anyway, today I've got a big pile of clothes, me-made clothes behind me, because I want to take you guys through the top 3 sewing patterns of my wardrobe. Because when I first started sewing my own clothes, I ran into a problem, and that was I would sew certain clothes, but I would never end up wearing them. And I realized it's because I went into sewing clothes for the love of sewing the clothes rather than the wearing of the clothes. So for example, it's like, you know, baking a cake and the icing and the decorating is beautiful, but it doesn't taste very good. So yeah, you put all this effort into making it look pretty, but it's not really practical, if you get me. So I've come to understand the way I sew. For example, like when I want to sew something, I think to myself, hang on a minute. How often will I wear this? What about it do I need? For example, whenever I sew a pair of shorts or a skirt or a dress even, it always has to have pockets. And if it doesn't have pockets, I won't wear it as much. So before I even sew anything, I'm making sure that I actually am going to wear that thing. There have been a few items in my wardrobe that I've made and they've taken me hours upon hours upon hours, and then I've only worn them like 2 or 3 times. And if I could go back, there's one dress in particular. It was this it's a summer dress, so I don't have it here. It's a summer dress. It's a kind of like square neckline. My boobs look great in it. And it's got frills and puffy sleeves. It's gorgeous. It's absolutely gorgeous. I love it so much. But I've only worn it a handful of times because it's such a big kind of thing to wear. It's so like, it's not practical for day to day. Anyway, so when I go to sew something, it has to have a few certain elements in it. And what I've realized is that over the years, there's some staples that I consistently come back to, which I'm going to show you here today. So the first one, of course, this is, I think, genuinely turtlenecks. Now, these are just some of the turtlenecks I have. I think in my time of sewing, I probably made around 12 to 15 turtlenecks, right? So this is a sage one, and I often pair this like with like a flowery top over the top, like a singlet, which is gorgeous, especially with winter, and I layer it all. This is gorgeous, this kind of, what do you call it? Like a mushroom color, like classic. Really good as a substitute for white is mushroom. Then I've got this gorgeous ochre. Ochre always looks good on me, so. And then I've got this color's called biscotti. I don't wear this one as much now that I have this mushroom color. However, I also have a paprika one, which I wear a lot, hence why it's in the wash currently. But this turtleneck pattern, I will always ride or die for a turtleneck pattern. And this is the one from Paper Cut Patterns turtlenecks. So the reason turtlenecks for me are just so good is, okay, in winter, you need something that's warm and is close to your body. Because what I've realized with some of my clothes that I don't wear, it's because, yeah, they might be a merino, which keeps the heat in. And it's, so merino is a knit, mostly a knit fabric. And it's perfect for turtlenecks because it stretches, but I'll get more into that in a minute. If it's cold, you want something that's a natural fiber and retains the heat, like a merino or a wool, but also clings to your body. So turtlenecks, I swear to God, are one of the best things ever, because you can layer them, and also they cling to your body, so they actually keep the warmth in, instead of it like hanging loose on you and then it's just like there's too much airflow and you get quite cold. So turtlenecks in winter are something I absolutely love. So we'll go into it a bit more. So with these okay, I'll tell you like the origin story of these. So when I first started making turtlenecks, I first made a mock-up toile and kind of refined the shape for me. I lowered the neckline just a tad, about 1 or 2 centimeters, so I could do my makeup in the morning. This is where sewing is so good, because you can adapt your clothes to like how you wear them. So I would never put my makeup on after having like a collar up like this. I would do it before and then put my turtleneck on. So what I would do is, as I put it on, I like put the torso part on, and then I put my hands up here, and then I kind of guide it over my face. Works every time, and it doesn't mess up your makeup. And also it means that like the neckline doesn't get stretched too much. And also by it being lower, you've got a little bit more breathing room for your neck and you don't feel as claustrophobic. So that was one thing I did. Another thing I always do now on my turtleneck patterns is I lower the armhole, because this is what happens. I tried a new deodorant, it clearly stained my clothes. So I always lower the armhole on turtlenecks, because you're wearing so many layers and you're going from hot to cold in winter. You'll sweat a little bit more, but also armpit deodorant stains. So I like to lower the armhole around 3 centimeters when I'm making bodycon kind of clothes. Another thing with these, I have like a very pronounced hourglass figure. So I measured my waist, and then I transferred that kind of measurement plus a little bit of ease to the pattern so that it actually hugs in. Because yes, I could just keep it the regular kind of shape that I already had. However, when I tuck my turtleneck in and then put on like thermals for my legs and then jeans, it gets quite bulky. So just by eliminating just a little bit of that extra bulk in the waist makes these amazingly practical and just so easy in day-to-day wear for winter, because I'm in Melbourne and it's bloody cold. Another thing, right? So merino fabric, I just can't stop looking at all these colors. They're just so earthy tones, just gorgeous. Merino fabric is expensive. However, I've had, especially these 3, plus my paprika one downstairs, I've had these 3 for 6 years now. And considering how much I wear them and how much I brag about them and how much they keep me warm, I would pay double for merino fabric. And also in such gorgeous colors. They're just an easy way to add a pop of color to a neutral winter wardrobe or a black winter wardrobe. I remember I wore my paprika one and the ochre one a lot when I was wearing a lot of black puffer coats, because it was just like, oh, like everything's black or mushroom or gray or, you know, just like dull colors. And I'm like, no, don't like that. So yeah, merino, and good quality merino. And when you wash it, make sure to wash it with a wool detergent, because otherwise if you use a regular detergent, like just your regular detergent, the enzymes in the regular detergent will eat away at the soft delicate fibers in a merino. So please, for the love of God, use a good quality merino or wool or delicate wash when you wash your merino. Also with a stretch fabric, you'll see here it kind of stretches. So what you need, I'll show you on this one here. What you need to make sure you do is use a stretch thread like a zigzag. Look, my color matching is so good you can't even see it, but having a zigzag on your cuffs and your seams allows for the fabric to stretch and your stitch line won't pop. So it ensures the longevity of your garment, because there's nothing worse than making up a garment and then you you go to wear it, put it on, and it pops. And you're just like, well, cheers, I guess. So, turtlenecks. They work really well for me. They may or may not work well for you, but highly recommend. Love turtlenecks. So the next thing, kind of on the same thread, but lols, is, even though these are summer, I still love them. They're just a basic t-shirt with a cute little embroidery motif on the front, right? I cannot tell you how fun these are to make, but also fun to wear, right? So normally I wear these in summer, however, these were just in my wardrobe and I was like, I've made several t-shirts like this and they're so fun. So with this t-shirt pattern, it is one of my t-shirt patterns and it's available on my website and I'll link it all down below. T-shirts, I swear to God, so underestimated in a wardrobe, because if they're a fun t-shirt, like this little one with the cherries on it, it's just sweet. It's fun. And also it's just so clean. Like you can't really mess up a t-shirt if you know what I mean. Like there's not going to be many fit issues with a t-shirt. And the reason I've made several of these is because of the little embroidery design. And I'll show you kind of what it looks like on the inside. Please ignore my mismatched overlocking. But you can see on the inside here, I've just put a piece of fusing right there so that it, it doesn't pull on the thread as I was embroidering it. Now, these are a really easy way to just make something for your wardrobe, but make it your own. So I have this idea of one day being like the Nigella Lawson of the sewing community, right? Just like you see me and then you think sewing. That's what I want. And so like little elements of this make it so easy to adapt small little elements into your wardrobe. For example, I've always wanted, there's a picture of Nigella Lawson I'm looking up there right now, red top, denim jacket, denim jeans, like gorgeous. And this makes me feel like that. So if you can easily make something that gives you such a confidence boost, brilliant, absolutely brilliant. So, and then this was the first one I made and it's got a little cowboy hat on it. And what I love most about these two is that I've got a pair of green shorts and a pair of red shorts that I wear them with. And I feel like something out of Pinterest. So I love them. The next one I want to do is a navy one. And then I want to put a little duck on the front. Like, just sweet, lovely and sweet. And really easy, only 5 seams in these bad boys. So, mwah. The next one, I'm actually going to move you to a bigger tripod because, just wait there. Okay, so I've moved you up because you're gonna wanna see these in full. Let me just get you straight. There we go. So we're starting off with this first one. So this is the Nova coat from, again, Paper Cut. So I made so many of these coats when I first started sewing, and I'll show you why. So first of all, story time. I used to work in a fabric shop and we were not allowed to wear coats inside. Now, during winter, in a shop with concrete floors and like no double glazing, bitterly cold, bitterly cold. And the only kind of like warm like coat things that we were allowed to wear is this pattern because we sold the fabric and we sold the pattern. So like, it's kind of like a selling opportunity, whatever. So I made this coat. Now, I'm gonna show you guys. So this coat, I wore so much when I first came to Melbourne. I'm actually gonna just swing you guys around a bit and see. Let's see if I can show you a bit more of the coat, right? So I made this coat in 3 different types of fabric. So you can see 1, 2, and then the darker fabric here. Now, this coat saved me during winter. And then the lining is just a polyester satin, I think. So the things that I've learned from this coat, number 1, when in doubt, like if you need a staple piece in your wardrobe, go for something that's gonna keep you warm, and also you can layer underneath, right? Because I wore this with like 4 or 5 layers underneath and I was so toasty. Second thing, this made out of wool. So what I had to keep into consideration is the care instructions of it, because you can't just chuck this in with everything else. And especially with a coat, you don't want to be washing it too much. But the other thing was, and this is what I love about it, is the tonal blocking of it all, right? And that wasn't by design. So what happened is I worked on like the remnants section, so like the offcuts of fabric. And what ended up happening is that I just come across certain pieces of fabric like this that I loved, but it wasn't big enough to do a full project in it. So what I ended up doing is patchworking it for this coat, right? And there were so many people that came up to me when I was wearing this coat whilst working that were like, oh my gosh, where's this fabric or that fabric or that fabric? Because they wanted to recreate this exactly. And that is what made this coat so special, is that I knew it couldn't be recreated exactly because these were all offcuts. Another tip, when you're doing a lining, especially for a coat or something that you slip into, you want to make sure that it isn't a abrasive surface. For example, you don't want like a Tana lawn or something that has a texture, because it makes it harder for the fabric of your lining and the clothing that you're wearing to like move up against each other. And that is what causes your sleeves to like ride up inside a garment like this coat. So instead, what I did is I used, again, this was a remnant as well. I used this satin fabric, a polyester satin, for the inside of the coat, because it made it really easy to slip into. So that was my first coat, right? Then I love this coat so much. I found this fabric and made another coat. And this coat is stunning, right? It's the exact same pattern, exact same size, but it's different, right? So this one, obviously it's not patchworked, but it's kind of like it's like a jacquard. And I still can't get over how much I love this fabric. I bought this and it was the last fabric on the roll. And I bought it just after like the 2020 lockdowns. And it wasn't even going into winter or anything. I just saw it and I was like, absolutely, I need it. I have to, I love it, I love it, I love it. And it's like all my brand colors, you know, I've got the chartreuse, there, the pink, the blues, beautifully offset with the browns and the navies. So this coat, gorgeous. And then I got this lining, right? The thing I learned about this with the lining is that I should have done seams that were a bit bigger than, like, I think I did like 1 centimeter seams. Knowing what I know now with this fabric, I should have done at least 1.5 and overlocked the seams, because what's happened over time as I've worn it, the ends of the fabric have frayed from the inside of the seam and they've started to come undone, and then it's torn, unpicked the seam, leaving big holes in it, which has led to me wearing it less. One, because there's holes in it, but also number 2, I don't want it to come undone anymore. So that's the other one. I think one thing I did with this is that I also did a blind running stitch to make sure that the facing here stays down. So if you kind of pull it apart here, sorry, that's not, pull it apart here, there's a stitch running along that lining to secure it to the outside so that it just doesn't kind of pop open. Now, last one. I really need to iron this properly, and I've never have. So I saw this fabric, again, in a remnants, right? You straight away, you can see the difference that the fabric makes. So this is a wool coating, gorgeous color, absolutely beautiful, but you can see how more stiff this fabric is. I think it just needs to be worn and kind of like calm down a bit because it really holds that crease. It makes me look quite bulky, but again, it's gorgeous. And then I lined it with a Liberty of London fabric. Do as I say, not as I do. This is a cotton, and it works beautifully with the color of the coat. Like, I'll show you a little. It's got monkeys on it. It's gorgeous, so lovely. But you can see what I mean, like the fabric really changes it, and the collar here is really sticking out. It creates a completely different type of look. Therefore, I don't reach for this one nearly as much as I should. So that's kind of where it's at. Yeah, you can see right there, it's really holding its shape and the stiffness, and that's caused by the thickness of the fabric. It's really, the fabric that you choose for your sewing project makes the world of difference. So I think we'll end it there. I really want to try and wear this a bit more. I think it deserves its time in the sun, or in this case, the cold and the rain, but it still deserves it. So yeah, I think, and also you can see here, this is what I mean by, you know, I've not even sewn that piece down. I don't think I even, let's be honest, I could have finished this to a point where it was wearable, but then not done anything else with it. So I hopefully by next winter, I will have ironed this down and worn this in a bit more and kind of gotten it to a point where it actually can be worn more frequently. And on that note, I will love you and leave you because I need to go to the gym and walk Lucy. So I will see you next week. Bye-bye.